Alright, hello and welcome fellow users of the internet. My name is Noah and you're watching Asphodel Merchants. Alright, so as you can maybe tell by what we're looking at on the screen, we've got the blue section of our Lord of the Rings Universe Beyond Magic the Gathering crossover sealed tier list going on. So we're going to start out with Arwen's Gift, 3 colorless and a blue for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control 2 or more legendary creatures. Scry 2, then draw 2 cards. I'm going to put this in D. Having 1 legendary creature isn't too hard, but 2's a little iffy, and this just being a sorcery, you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to add Scry 2 to Divination, and Modern Limited's not really going to add well to that. Alright, next up we've got a weird one. 1 colorless and a blue for an for Bewitching Leechcraft. It's an enchantment. It's an aura enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has, if this creature would untap during your untap step, remove a +1/+1 counter from it instead. If you do, untap it. I am really not high on this card at all. I almost think it's a trap. Like, it's got a lot of the words you would want for your blue untap spell, but this remove a +1/+1 counter to untap it in the upkeep has got, it just has the alarm bells going off in my head saying, like, yeah, this is actually going to come up more than you think, and if it does, they've just blanked your card for a counter, and maybe it didn't cost them much mana. I'm not that impressed with this card. I'm going to call it a D. Alright, next we have Bill Fernie, Bree Swindler, and that's a colorless and a blue for a legendary creature, Human Rogue. It's a 2/1, and whenever it becomes blocked, you either make a treasure token, good text, or we got some flavor here. Target opponent gains control of target horse you control. If they do, remove Bill Fernie from combat and create 3 treasure tokens. Well, here's the thing. There's only 2 horses in the whole set, so that part's never going to happen. But I think I'm going to go ahead and give Bill a B, because getting a treasure token anytime they decide to block will help you out a lot. And it's a legend, which is relevant, human, which is relevant, and I think he's going to be a good ring bearer. You know, all that jazz. B for Bill. Alright, next up we have Birthday Escape. 1 blue, draw a card. The Ring Tempts You. I actually really want to put this card in A. I mean, just 1 blue mana to draw a card, sorcery is, in all honesty, just fine. And then the Ring Tempting You will help you get other stuff rolling. This helps with both the draw 2 mechanic in blue and white, and helps unlock the 2 second spell in 1 turn for blue-red. This is just a huge enabler, and you're really going to want every copy of this card you can in a lot of those archetypes. A for Birthday Escape. Alright, Born Upon a Wind. Colorless and a blue for an instant. You may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. Draw a card. I am going to just give this card a safe little B. Worst case scenario, you just pay 2 mana to draw a card, which isn't great. But if you ever do get to flash in a creature and make a block, or flash a sorcery and kill something you otherwise couldn't have, this card is going to look really impressive. So B for Born Upon the Wind. Alright, Captain of Umbar, 2 colorless and a blue for a creature. It's a human pirate. It's a 2/3 and it has 1 pay 1 colorless and tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. This card's just a regular old C. You know, fine enough stats and a fine enough ability, but it's by no means a reason to be in blue. Alright, next up we have Deceive the Messenger, which I'm going to give a B. It's 1 blue for an instant. Target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Amass Orcs 1. Like I said, this helps trigger all of the, 2 spells matter stuff in blue and red, and this can help you win a combat pretty easily. -3/-0 is some pretty tough stuff for 1 blue, and it even gives you an Amass Orcs 1, so it can help build your board. And if they ever attack with a 3/1 or below, you just play this and get to kill their 1 toughness creature. Pretty amazing. B for Deceive the Messenger. Alright. Council's Deliberation is going to be another B. Instant, draw a card. Whenever you scry, if you control an island, you may exile Council's Deliberation from your graveyard. If you do, draw a card. This is an amazing enabler in so many of the decks. Helps you cast 2 spells in blue-red. Helps you draw 2 cards in 1 turn for blue-white. And if you can scry, helps you draw another card in the scry decks. This is just really good. I should maybe... do I want to push this into A? Actually, yeah. It's... for... No, yeah, I'm going to give an A to Council of Deliberation for all the same reason I gave Birthday Escape. Alright. Dreadful as the Storm is Tunicle, is 2 colorless and a blue for an instant. Target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn, then the ring tempts you. Yeah, this card's not very good. We saw some versions of cards like this get a little better whenever they made your creature base power and toughness and draw a card, and the ring tempts you is by no means draw a card. So I'm going to downgrade. I'm going to leave this at a D. Next up, we have Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, 2 colorless and a blue for a legendary creature, Elf Noble. Whenever Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. If this is the second time you resolve the ability this turn, the ring tempts you. This is just a C. This card's not... I don't think this card's that impressive. I don't think you're actually going to be able to resolve the second ability all that many times. And 3-mana 3/2 is not the most great stats. Alright, Gandalf, Friend of the Shire. 3 colorless and a blue for a legendary creature, Avatar Wizard with Flash. You may cast sorcery spells as though they had Flash. Whenever the ring tempts you, if you chose a creature other than Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, as your ring bearer, draw a card. This card's pretty stacked. This might... Do I want to make this our first A+? I think I'm going to, yeah. I could move it down later if I felt like it, but no, this card is just stacked. 2/4 is a good ambusher if they tap out for a poopy little haste creature, or just do something before combat, flash this in, kill a 2 toughness creature, and this survives. You're way up. Giving sorceries you control flash is just amazing, and being able to turn your ring temps into draw cards. Huge stat boost. Gandalf from the Shire just seems like a really good card and a really good place to be in blue. Alright, Glorious Gail. 1 colorless and a blue, counter target spell. If it was legendary spell, the ring tempts you. This is a nice, good little C right here. I could imagine the bigger creatures you cast, the better this card is going to be, and especially if they're one of the better legends of your opponent's deck. But there are, in all honesty, enough formats where you wouldn't main deck a counterspell like this, but there are some others too, and for that reason I'm going to give it a C. Alright, Goldberry, River Daughter, colorless and a blue for a legendary creature, Nymph. She's a 1/3. Move a counter of each kind not on Goldberry, River Daughter from another target permanent you control onto Goldberry. 1 blue, tap, move 1 or more counters from Goldberry onto another target permanent you control if you do draw a card. I think this card is secretly really good, and it didn't occur to me until I realized that this interacts with lore counters on sagas, or whatever the heck you call the counters on a saga, because you can actually take a saga counter off and get to keep having the first 2 abilities on the saga just keep going. And I don't know exactly which sagas are going to all make that really good. The white one actually comes to mind if you were able to let Chapter 2 off on the 5-mana white saga that regrows, that reanimates a creature. You would just take that second counter off, and you can just put this onto a creature because it just says target permanent, not of the same kind. And then just move this to a creature, draw a card, and then get to reanimate another creature the next turn. I think this card's going to really surprise some people whenever it gets rolling. Alright, Gray's Haven Navigator. 2 colorless and a blue for a creature, Elf Pilot with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1, it's a 3/2. Good bread and butter card, good scry enabler, it's a C. Alright then, Halflane Knots is a B. It's a colorless and a blue for an instant. Tap target creature, scry 1, draw a card. Does a whole lot of stuff that a whole lot of decks are looking for. Really, really good card. It's not quite an A, I don't think, because it doesn't draw 2 cards. Yeah, it could very well be trending towards B plus and getting very close to A, but I'm going to leave it in B for right now. Alright, Horses of Bruning. 3 colorless and 2 blue. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. Scry 1, the ring tempts you. I think I'm going to go ahead and give this card an A. It's just a really good, efficient card. You get to bounce both of their 2 biggest threats back to their hand, scry 1 for all your scry matter stuff, and then level up your ring bearer. I think it's a really good, really powerful card. That's why it's an A. Lorith of the Healing House. 2 colorless and a blue for a legendary creature, human cleric. Tap, untap another target permanent, or tap to untap 2 other target legendary creatures. It's a 1/4. I think I'm going to just give this card a C. Seen plenty of cards with these kinds of text before, and they do serve well, but I feel like you're not, for as much as this card does, it's not going to do that much for helping you win the game. You know, best case scenario, it's just 3 mana, untap one of your lands, and that's, well, worst case scenario. 3 mana, untap one of your lands, and that's just not that great. But it is still a C. We're going to leave it there. Alright, Isolation of Orthanc is another C, but it's a very good C. Probably trending towards B, but it is 3 colorless and a blue for an instant. Put target creature into its owner's library second from the top. So this always kills tokens, gets rid of them forever. Being 4 mana is still a lot, though. You can't jam too many of these in your deck. But it is pretty efficient removal, and you're going to be happy enough to play it. Alright, Ithilien Kingfisher. 2 colorless and a blue for a creature. It's a bird. It's a 2/1. It's got flying, and when it dies, you draw a card. This could very well be a B, but I'm still going to leave it in C. It's a very efficient card. It's very bread and butter. I'm sure that most of the decks that are blue decks that win in this format are going to have a certain number of these cards, but it really is not all that synergistic. It doesn't scry. It doesn't care about scrying. 3 mana doesn't make it the most easy thing to trigger off and cast twice, and I don't think it helps the blue-black control decks. So it's a very good card on its own, but it's relatively low synergy, and that's why I'm just going to give it a C. Alright, Knights of Dol Amroth. 3 colorless and a blue for creature, human knight. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Knights of Dol Amroth. Alright, we've seen this card before in some other limited formats, and it wasn't that good, but here it's going to be okay, most particularly because your ring bearer should most of the time be able to trigger the draw a card, discard a card portion of the ring, and that'll make this a 4 mana 4/4 on the turn you cast it, and then a 5 mana 5/5 forever whenever it attacks, and so on and so forth. So this card's going to perform a little bit better than it has in the past. Alright, next up we have Lorien Revealed, which is an A. Draw 3 cards. It's a sorcery, 3 colorless, blue, draw 3 cards. Pretty good card, but it also has island cycling. So pay 1 and discard the card, search your library for an island, put it in your hand, then shuffle. It's good early, it's good late. I think I already said that all the cyclers were an A, and I'm pretty sure they are. Okay. Man, put this one in the X-Files because I want to believe. Lost Isle Calling. 1 colorless and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you scry, put a verse counter on Lost Isle Calling. 4 blue for an activated ability. Exile Lost Isle Calling. Draw a card for each verse counter on Lost Isle Calling. If it had 7 or more verse counters on it, take an extra turn after this one. Activate only as a sorcery. The sad truth of the matter is this is a D, probably trending towards F. If you can reliably scry 7 times in one game after you play this, it's going to be pretty good. In all honesty, it's an F. I really hate to say it, but you know, it's only really good on turn 2, and then you build up these scries. If you play it any later, it's just never going to do anything, because it effectively becomes just like 8 mana, draw 3 or 4 cards, and that's just not going to be good enough. Because it really does have to be on the battlefield effectively like 7 turns after you cast it, and there's just no way you can hope for a game to last that long. F for Lost Isle the Calling. But this, I am going to say right fast, this is probably the F I'm going to jam in my deck and take early as often as I can and really try to have it. Love taking me some extra turns. Alright. Getting a few too many A's. Need to find some B's. Mineldor, Swift Savior. 3 colorless and a blue for a legendary creature. It's a bird soldier. It's a 3/3 flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So, worst comes to worst, this is a 4 mana flying 3/3 with vigilance, because it can always exile itself and return to the battlefield untapped. But if you have anything with a good ETB ability, you just get to keep doing that forever, and this is going to stack up a lot of value really fast. A from Mandalore Swift Savior. Alright. Nimrodel Watcher. Colorless and a blue for a creature. It's an elf scout. It's a 2/1. Whenever you scry, Nimrodel Watcher gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. This ability triggers only once each turn. I think we got another B on our hands here, folks. You know, whenever this is going to be unblockable, it's only going to take a few good combats for your opponent to really start sweating about their life total. It's just a really good, really efficient threat, and elf is a relevant creature type, so it's going to trigger off of all the other cards that want your elves to attack and can help your elf scry. So, really good card here. It's a B. Alright. Pelagier Survivor. Colorless and a blue for a creature, human peasant, that is a 1/3. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Don't get too excited. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. And we've got 5 and a blue to tap it, and target player mills 3 cards. I think this card's a D. It could probably be a C in the decks where it's good, but you're going to have like 8, 9, maybe 10 instant sorceries in your deck to make this card really consistent and really effective. So with that being said, I think it gets down to a D. Alright. Press the Enemy. 2 colorless and 2 blue for an instant. Return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. I think I'm going to give this an A+. This is just a really powerful, really efficient card. It's always going to be an answer. It's going to be a temporary answer to something, but getting yourself spotted the mana if you have an instant or sorcery in your hand is just going to be a really great place to be. A+ for Press the Enemy. And the hits just keep on coming. Rangers of Ithilien. 2 colorless and 2 blue for a creature human ranger. It's a 3/3 with vigilance, and when Rangers of Ithilien enter the battlefield, gain control of up to 1 target creature with lesser power for as long as you control Rangers of Ithilien. The ring tempts you. Yeah, we've seen these creatures that mind slaver your opponents, and they're really good. Not mind slaver, just like take control of another creature. Yeah, you're just gonna steal like one of their good 2/2. Is it Lesser power. Yeah, and you're going to make their blocks bad on turn 4. Good card. Good reason being blue. A+. Alright. Saruman the White. 4 colorless and a blue for a legendary creature, Avatar Wizard. It's got Ward 2. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, amass Orcs 2. I am going to go ahead and give this an A. I think it's a really powerful card. If you could somehow have one of our really good 1-mana enablers like Birthday Escape or just another 1-mana enabler in another color, and were to somehow play this on turn 6 and then play a 1-mana spell and get to amass Turks 2 all in one turn, woo baby. That is going to be doing something right there. But it's certainly not as good as Gandalf. And the more I talk about it, 5 mana is a lot. This could almost just be a very high B+, but for right now I'm going to go ahead and leave it an A. We got another really good card coming up. Sarumans Trickery. 1 colorless and 2 blue. Counter target spell, amass Orcs 1. Can I interest you in a mono blue Mystic Snake? I think I am going to put it in B, because counter spells do underperform sometimes in limited, but not all the time. Truth be told, if I wanted to put this in A, I think I would look too silly, but it's only really good in some of the decks that care about amassing Orcs 1. It doesn't have nearly as much synergy as some of these other cards, so that's why I think I'm going to leave it in B. Alright, next up we've got the Scroll of Islador. 2 colorless and a blue. Gain control of up to 1 target artifact for as long as you control the Scroll of Islador. The ring tempts you. Chapter 2. Tap up to 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them. And then number 3, draw a card for each tapped creature target opponent controls. That card really good. I'm going to give this an A. Just because, like, gain control up to target artifact. That's what's really weird about a lot of these, is the first chapter on a lot of these sagas is almost straight up flavor text. It really doesn't matter. What you're really looking for is the chapter 2 here, which is the tap 2 target creature that helps stave you off from dying, and then getting to draw the 2 cards. Actually, I've talked myself back down into B. Yeah, because, like, if you look, there really aren't that many artifacts to gain control of in this set, and for as few of those artifacts as there are, even fewer of them can attack or block. So that is going to leave you full vulnerable for a turn while you play it. And I guess that, like, once they see that's coming, they're just going to attack all out if their attacks are even halfway okay, because they know their creature is going to get stunned anyway. So that might leave them enough time for this card to not be that good. It's got a hole. It can be played around, but it is still very powerful. If you played it at an A level, if you played it as much as you played some A's, I wouldn't be surprised. You're also probably not going to cut it from your blue decks either. B for Scroll of Islador. Alright, next up we have the Soothing of Schmeagol. 1 colorless and a blue for an instant. Return target non-token creature to its owner's hand. The ring tempts you. I'm going to put this in B. Yes. It's very cheap. It's very efficient. It makes your ring bearers better. And even though you can't get rid of problematic tokens, this is still a very powerful card. I'm going to give a B to the Soothing of Schmeagol. Alright, Stern Scolding is a C, but it's a very good C. 1 blue, counter target creature spell with power or toughness 2 or less. This does counter a lot, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of options either. It's a very kind of tempo-y card in essence, because it's going to help you, not lose hard in the early game, but it's certainly bad as time goes on and your opponents start resolving their haymakers or their non-creature threats. So that's why I'm going to leave it in C, but it can be very powerful. Oh man, I almost want to save this card for later. Yeah, this card's going to take a lot of deliberation. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what to think of it quite yet, and I've been looking at it for days. Surrounded by Orcs. 3 colorless and a blue. Amass Orcs 3, then target player mills X card, where X is the amassed army's power. Another C, but it's a very good C. This card is just going to be really efficient. If it's only a hill giant that mills your opponent or yourself 3 times, it's still going to be okay. But if it can ever get any bigger, it's going to start overperforming pretty hard. So that'll give it a case-by-case basis sometimes, but I'm going to call it a C right now. Alright. Next up we have the Treason of Isengard. 2 colorless and a blue. Put up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. I'm going to go ahead and give this card a C. I think a lot of people have been talking some smack on this card because they don't like the whole just put your card on top of your library thing because they don't think that's card advantage. But if you have good instant sorceries in your deck, it gets a lot better. I don't know how many exactly you need to make this card really valuable. In all honesty, if you only had like 5 or 6 good instant sorceries in your deck, this card would go down to a D level. But I think I can give enough blue decks the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be doing a little bit better than that, and that's why I'm going to let it be a C. Oh man, oof! Watcher in the water. I'm just saving no time wasted. Legendary creature, Kraken. It'll cost you 3 colorless and 2 blue for a 9/9. When it enters the battlefield tapped with 9 stun counters on it, but don't worry too much. When you draw a card during an opponent's turn, create a 1/1 blue Tentacle creature token. Whenever a tentacle you control dies, untap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on up to 1 target non-land permanent. Yeah, truth be told, if you don't have any ways to draw a card on your opponent's turn, this card's going to underperform a little, but if you ever do, it's just going to absolutely take over the game. They're going to have a really hard time attacking on the ground, and being that it makes the 1/1 blue tentacles, they can block your opponent's ring bearers really easy, and then you can stun their ring bearer whenever the tentacle dies. This card's just so cool. Love it a lot. It's an A+. If you open it, play it. Alright, next up we have Willow Wind, which I'm going to give a B. 4 colorless and a blue for a creature elemental. It's a 3/4 flying. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. It's just a really efficient threat. This blocks good. It's going to attack very well. It is a 5-drop, so you definitely need to be careful about not having too many of them in your deck. It's really weird because, like, I think you could... Decks where this card is good, it's going to be pretty good, but in a lot of decks it could be a D. Okay, next up we have the Bath Song. 3 colorless and a blue for a saga. Chapters 1 and 2 are draw 2 cards, then discard a card. And then Chapter 3 is shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library, and then add 2 blue. I think this card's really powerful. You know, being able to draw 4 cards total and discard 2 cards is definitely a good enabler in helping you draw 2 cards for the extra draw decks and just helping you find the important cards you're going to need in the matchup. And then just having access to like 8 mana on turn 6 is really cool, and shuffling any good removal spells you used up back into your library is going to be pretty important. I'm going to give an A to the Bath Song. Okay, last card up, the Storm of Saruman. 4 colorless and 2 blue for an enchantment. It's got Ward 3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. Okay. Upon some deliberation, I kind of want to give this card an F, because I don't know how many times you're going to be in a situation where we finally got into our 6th mana, we're ready to go, And now, we've spent our 6 mana on our enchantment that doesn't affect the board, and now we're ready. Like on turn 7, if we can go ahead and double spell, we'll get, rebated on our second biggest spells mana. Maybe it'll just be a D-. But I almost want to rate it as an F, because I think a lot of the times you're going to resolve this spell and then just get killed. It could maybe help swing you around, but I don't trust this card. I feel like I've played lots of these kinds of cards before and they just don't work out. I'm giving it an F. Okay, so there is the tier list for blue. I'm unfortunately going a little bit slower today than I wanted. I had some other stuff I had to do earlier, but I shouldn't complain. I just want to say again to all of you, thank you so much for watching these videos. We're going to be finishing out strong here with multicolor and colorless here in just a minute. We'll see you all in the next video. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and thank you so much. Goodbye.